Hi friends and welcome to another video. I'm James and this is Alyssa.
Hi! So this video is going to be the first in a new series that we've got going to be coming out on this channel. Talking about our Disney college programs. Woohoo. Yeah, and our guest stories and anything you really want to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But today we thought we'd start it off with talking about the first college program in our lineup of many that we've done. Well, mainly that he's done. So we're going to talk about his first program.
Yeah, let's wind it all the way back to 2014. So long ago.
6 years ago. Oh. You were a little baby back in 2014.
I look like a baby in the photos, and there will be photos.
Yes, because you can't have beards in Disney World, or at least they have to be trimmed in a certain way. So could you grow a beard? Could you grow a beard?
Moving on. Back in 2014, I was at university. I was tip-tapping away, loving life, studying hard for my degree, and I thought I need something better than this. I need some fun in my life.
What could be better?
And I looked up summer jobs and Disney, and I found that there was such a thing as the Cultural Exchange Program, or it used to be called the International College Program.
Yeah, the ICP.
But it's now called the CEPs, the Cultural Exchange Program, where you could go out to Disney for a summer as part of your university degree. You don't have to be related to your course, it's just in the summer break for 8 to 10 weeks and work in Disney World. I thought this sounds fantastic. So I applied, and we will make another video helping you through the application process, how to do it, what we said and did to get our places, and hopefully that will help you. But we'll publish that a little bit later. Right now, all of the programs are cancelled, so it's not going to help anyone.
It's not going to help anyone. We don't know when they're going to open back up, and yeah, it's just not the time to post it. We'll post it when they do open again, in case you are interested in applying when they do open one day.
And on that note, I think we'll just say we're really sorry to hear about everyone who's lost their jobs. It's really heartbreaking because we know how much these working at Disney World means to cast members.
And to a lot of people, yeah.
And in a way, we want to make these videos to just sort of celebrate how much fun it was working there. It's hard work, but everyone loves it. So and is really dedicated to making magic.
Yeah, the cast members are the magic.
Making Disney World the place it is. So I want to say that before this seems insensitive to make these videos. We're really sorry to hear about that, guys.
Yeah.
And we are just sharing our little moments in reflection, basically. Yeah. So I've applied to Disney World. I've got my Disney summer job, and I'm going. And I found out I'm working in Magic Kingdom attractions. I'm going to be an attraction host, which is
like a dream job.
Dream job, yeah, for first job. And I actually had a friend who could look me up on the cast system, and they told me that I was working in Tomorrowland attractions, which was even more exciting. You know, what could I be doing? There's Space Mountain. I could be launching people into space. I could be working on Buzz Lightyear and have people battle Zurg with their blasters. You've got the People Mover, which is, you know, this cool transport ride like no other. It's a classic. No. You're going to be working on the Tomorrowland Speedway, James. Tomorrowland Speedway. I mean, what is that ride? It's a ride that doesn't even really belong in Tomorrowland. It just doesn't belong anywhere. So they kind of gave it a futuristic-ish theming, or at least they put Tomorrowland on the title, and there you go. So what is the Tomorrowland Speedway? Well, it's an opening day attraction, which means it opened in 1971 when the theme parks opened. In fact, I found this cool picture comparing opening day with current day, and you can kind of see the difference in the station. It's a ride where there's 4 tracks where cars drive along a rail, and those cars are petrol engine cars. They're actually little go-kart engines which can go really quite fast, but they've got speed limiters on them, and they just reduce it down to 7 miles per hour.
How fast can they go?
Like, think of a go-kart, like over 35 miles an hour.
I can't imagine like little speedway cars going that fast.
Yeah, thank God they don't go that fast, otherwise my job would have been much more dangerous. And those rails which are on the road are there to sort of direct you, so you just drive along them, and if you bump into those rails, they knock your steering the other way, and if you don't touch your steering wheel, you will make it around the track, but your whole journey will be zigzag, and you'll get a lot of bumps along the way. That's the ride. It lasts about 4 or 5 minutes. It's about a 2,000-foot track. In fact, it used to be a lot longer. I found this old picture, this aerial picture of the track when it was extended. It now loops around after you go under the bridge, and you go around a loop and then over the bridge to make a figure of 8.
Oh.
But it used to actually go all the way over to where Dumbo is and the Storybook Circus is. Those cars, they basically have a steering wheel and a single pedal. You push the pedal down to go and lift it up to stop. It's really simple. And the idea is that kids and parents alike can get a chance to drive an actual car. Interestingly, Walt Disney World's version is the only one that still has petrol engine cars. The rest are all electric now.
Are they?
Yeah. So Disneyland California and Disneyland Paris, they all have electric cars, which automatically stop. They don't bump into each other. Whereas our cars, they did. So if you got pinched in between them, it would really, really hurt.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're electric versions, and they're usually called Autopia instead of Speedway. So, what was it like working there? Well, I got a completely different costume to the rest of Tomorrowland. Tomorrowland looks like this. You kind of look like a futuristic security guard, in my opinion. But you at least have Tomorrowland printed on your shoulder quite clearly. You've got that logo. Speedway, we got something completely different. We look like pit stop boys, but you have this sort of lightning rod pattern in purple, yellow, and red on the shirt, and they've got little lines like dashes along the yellow, which are on the lightning rod, and on the sleeve, which look like road markings. Quite cool, but the difficulty with that costume is that V that you get in the middle gives you a nice tan there. You get a really tanned neck and a really tanned chest because it's all outside.
Oh, Disney tans. They are the one when you're in costume.
Yeah, stylish. And the other thing that you might be able to spot in these costumes is we had steel toe black Doc Martens, really heavy boots, and that was just in case a car drove over your foot, it wouldn't break it. Because they were heavy cars. So what was it like working there? Well, it was hot and it was loud. Earplugs were provided every day if you wanted them. And it smelt heavily of petrol. There was petrol fumes coming out the engines everywhere. And you could smell, warm rubber from the tyres, and you could smell burning petrol because we were surrounded in, I think it was about 70 vehicles. There's a lot on there, yeah.
70?
So let me give you a quick rundown of the best and worst bits of working there.
Okay.
Let's start with the best bits.
Alright, tell me the best. What were the best bits?
So this ride, there is no controls, there's no buttons, there's no stop start, there's no emergency stop. So to move those vehicles, we had to get in them and drive them, which meant every day we would jump in them, drive them onto track, get them ready, and at the end of the night we'd have to drive them off the track as well.
Oh, that's fun.
Which was really fun, yeah. Another good point was the way we used to make magic. So the first one, which is the most common, you'll see quite a lot, is we had these Speedway driving licenses, these little blue driving licenses, or car driving licenses that have Mickey Mouse on them. And we would hand those out to kids, sometimes adults, who had completed a lap on the course, just to say, well done for doing it. You've driven your first car, here's your driving license. And kids would cherish it.
I want that.
Yeah, I mean, if you do ride it, feel free to ask a cast member for a driving license because...
Will they give some to adults? Because I want one.
They definitely do. I used to give out loads. The other way we'd make magic is we'd have these celebration boards, they were called. So there were these big metal boards that were sort of A3 size, maybe even A2 size. And these would hook on the back of the seats. And they would either say two things. It would say, just married, and it'd have a bride and groom hat on them. Or they'd say, it's my birthday, and it'd have a birthday cake on it. You'd hook them onto the back of the seats, onto the back of the car, and then they'd drive their lap around.
Oh, that's so cute!
So other drivers would see it and, wish them a happy birthday, or cast members would see it and wish them a happy birthday. And
I love that.
Yeah, it was a really good way to make magic, definitely. Another big pro for me was the size of the team. So there were about 18 or 19 different positions at any one time during Speedway, because it takes so many cast members to operate that ride, that we'd have about 20 or 22 cast members working at any one time. So a lot of friends, and those friends quickly turned into family, because we were all in it together. It was a difficult work environment to work in, but we loved working together, and every day was, we got each other through it, you know. And if any of you are watching, thank you for making it such a great experience, because I genuinely loved it, and I dare I say miss it, you know, despite those harsh working environments. The family made it an obvious pro. Kids love this ride, and I think it is because they get the chance to drive a car for the first time, you know. And that, if you tie it in with that driving license, it's a really exciting experience for them, you know. Majority of the time, people will walk past this and be like, no, I don't fancy it. But the young kids, they genuinely do love it. Even if they can't reach the pedal, you know, they get to hold that steering wheel and drive that car, and that's an awesome experience. And last but not least, it's the fact that it's in Magic Kingdom, you know, that is awesome. You know, we working outside, I could see the castle from where I was. I would see the Wishes fireworks celebration, which was on at the time, every night from there. And you know, and I also got the chance to play in Magic Kingdom before my shifts.
That's a big pro.
It was great. So let's go on to the cons list.
Okay.
There are some obvious ones, you don't need to tell you. It was almost entirely outside, so it was hot. I was in the middle of the Floridian summer, and I was feeling every bit of it. It was also 10 degrees hotter on the track. It was a fact, track temperature is 10 degrees hotter. So there was one day when I came in and found out it was 100 degrees Fahrenheit that day, which meant on the track it was 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Ooh, we felt it.
Oof.
The other thing was how loud it was. As I said earlier, we actually were offered earplugs. I didn't choose to wear them because it was hard enough to hear anyway. I didn't really want to block out sounds. But there was an interesting way of getting around this.
Okay.
And you might notice this in Tomorrowland and Fantasyland. Cast members communicate by hissing at each other. Sounds really odd, but to get each other's attention, we would hiss. So we'd go, which would make another cast member turn around, and then we had hand symbols for pretty much everything we wanted to do. So if we were adding cars, it was this, or cutting cars, it was this, which means obviously removing from the tracks.
Oh.
Yeah, there was all sorts of things that we could do, and that's how we got round the fact that it was so loud there. We would hiss, because that noise cuts across, and we'd use hand symbols.
Never knew about hissing.
And
hissing is not a thing that I used.
No, and it's not used very often, and please do not go to Disney World and start hissing. The cast members will turn around, and it was one of the most annoying things when guests would cotton on to the fact that that's how we communicate, and then guests would hiss to draw our attention, but you're actually distracting us from doing our jobs.
And our number one job is keeping you, the guests, safe.
Yeah, I get it.
It's kind of fun.
It's kind of fun, and it's funny, but please don't.
Please don't do it.
Please don't use that information against cast members. I will feel really guilty, and they won't appreciate me telling you that. But in those noisy environments, that's how we would get each other's attention. And it's quite a subtle sound, so 99% of guests wouldn't even notice it.
Never heard it.
Yeah, but just look out for it in the future and appreciate it, but don't hiss. They won't like it. Another con is what I mentioned earlier, the fact we have no control. So because this ride is not automated, we needed guests in order to operate it. So that meant that if there were no guests, the ride wouldn't run. There would be no turning of the ride.
Okay.
So basically, if the number of guests were declining, say it was getting to the end of the night, we would need to start taking cars off the track gradually. We did that lane by lane, because if it came to the point where guests were on the ride but nobody else was getting on it, they would get stuck behind those empty cars.
Right.
Yeah. And worst case scenario, us cast members would need to jump on them to either drive them round or drive them into the garage to put them away. But it was, so it took a good amount of coordination from the seniors to make sure that didn't happen. It's a well-known fact that college programmers, we get the last draw of the shifts.
Yeah.
So, and it's almost a joke that CPs stands for closing parks. And at the time of 2014, Disney World and the Disney parks themselves were doing incredibly well, and they had a lot more funding. So actually, majority of nights, Magic Kingdom was open till 1 a.m. And then when they did those extra magic hour nights, so those were for the hotel guests only, or on sort of event days like Independence Day, Magic Kingdom would be open till 3 a.m. Thankfully that stopped by 2017 when we did our program. It was quite difficult working that late, and then it takes 45 minutes to close the ride, so we would get out at 3:45 sometimes. But with that said, I would do it with my CP family. I remember after the Independence Day, we all went to IHOP at 4 in the morning and got pancakes together, and it was great. And there was a big bunch of us as well.
Thank God America's chains of things stay open really late.
And on that is the point that our ride doesn't, because it's an outdoor ride, it closes during thunderstorms, but we have to close the ride, which means we are going to get rained on whilst that's happening.
Does Speedway close when it's raining or just for thunder?
That's what I was about to say. So we would have to work during the rain, and we had these rain jackets, and we would just be stood out there. If there's no thunder.
You mean the long clear ones?
Yeah, I mean, here's my face working, and I was a little bit grumpy, as you can see, because I was out in the middle of the track, no cover, just my umbrella, my poncho, getting soaked, and it's still hot, so that thing sticks to you as well.
Yeah.
And then guests will come onto the ride and be like, the car's wet, and I'm like, the sky is crying, what do you expect? There was one day where I was working, and it was the worst thunderstorm of the entire summer, and we were required to stand at the front entrance of the ride, so we'd be under that shelter that I showed you earlier. But we were all stood there telling people it's closed. It's obviously closed because it's thundering. Then lightning struck cosmic rays, which was like literally just across the way from us. It was terrifying.
My God.
Yeah, it was very, very scary. Florida, you are scary. And then I'd say the last couple of things which were quite frustrating about working this ride. First being that the ride had 2 height restrictions. So I think it was 32 inches to ride.
Okay.
And then 54 inches to ride by yourself.
Right.
And that's because you need to be long enough to sit on the seat, hold the steering wheel, and push the pedal all the way down to go.
Because it won't, will it go if it's half depressed?
No, it won't.
Right.
All that will happen is we'll take the brakes off.
Right.
And the issue with that is that there are some kids who are, you know, if your child is just touching the 54-inch mark, yes, by our guidelines, they are able to ride by themselves. But quite often we'd find those were the kids that were really struggling to reach and get that pedal all the way down. And then it would be the role of a cast member to jump in the car with them and press the pedal for them and drive them all the way around. But I'd quite often find myself reassuring them, telling them it's okay, because they'd be hysterically upset.
Aww.
Because they're stuck and they're holding up everyone behind them whilst other cars are going by them, you know. It can be a little bit distressing, actually. So that's what those guidelines are for. The other thing is sometimes I'd have a parent with 2 or 3 kids. So 2 or 3 kids above 32 inches, but below 54. So they all need someone above 54 inches and over the age of 17 or 16 to ride with them.
Could you fit like 2 kids and an adult in a car? Or is it...
You could, but it would be a squeeze.
Right.
There's no limit to that, but 3 you couldn't. And if you came all the way around to the front and you told me as the grouper, the one that's assigning you to the car, my 2 kids want to be in separate cars, and I can't let that happen. And I've had that I had that happen to me as well. And like, you know, I appreciate you've waited a long time as well to get on the ride, for me to tell you at the last moment, actually you all need to ride together, and really disappoint those kids. In that moment we would tell the cast members on the track that they're going to go around twice and they're going to swap over, and we had a special flag that we would attach to the front of the car to let them know that that's what we're going to do, and that's the compromise. So we will always endeavour to make it work, but it can be a bit difficult. Apart from the height restriction issue, would be the issue of trying to communicate to people how many cars they want. So they would come to me, again the grouper, assigning you to your cars, and they would say 4. I'd have to try and establish, do you want 4 cars or do you want 2 cars? Do you want 2 of 2? Do you want 3 in 1? How do you want to do this? Which is okay as long as you speak English, but trying to communicate together or separate, which is the way I used to do it, you together or separate in the different languages that we would come across in Disney World was really difficult. And the last thing was people asking, one, can we race our cars? So they want me to put them on either side and hopefully they'll move at the same time. Really not possible, guys. Like really unlikely we'll be able to facilitate that. I'm sorry. The cars move just depending on when people are ready, and if we were to hold everyone up and then let you race, it would slow down the entire operation, and we are rolling through people. Perhaps if the ride is quiet, then maybe the cast members could make it happen, but if it's a busy middle of the summer day,
probably
unlikely.
not likely.
And then last but not least, people requesting colours. I want the blue car. Do you? Okay, let me just count up the line and see when that blue car is gonna... I would really try.
Imagine how hard that is. If you said you've got like 70 cars.
It's loads. But the truth of it is, there was only 4 green cars in the whole thing. So when people asked for a green car, I was like, no. Just no. I think it was like yellow, orange, blue and red were like the main car colours, and then 4 green ones. So when people asked for green, I was just like, no, see, I can't do that, I'm sorry.
For me, the fun of it is going, oh, what colour we're going to get?
Exactly. Please don't ask for a green car, please. And if you want to race, just be asked to put on opposite sides, and, you know, hopefully you guys will go at similar times.
But no guarantee.
No guarantees, exactly. Well, that's it. Do you have any questions at all?
Favourite memory?
Favourite memory, I mean, like I say, it's got to be the people. The people I worked with were fantastic, and I stayed in contact with them for many years afterwards. Here is a big group photo of everyone on our final day there. Hopefully they don't mind me putting that up, but they were wonderful people, and I really enjoyed working with them, and they were the people that made it, you know, the experience that it was. I was really worried about it being a difficult ride to work on, but it surpassed all my expectations.
Good.
Yeah. So we will release another video of me telling you some more of my favourite memories and some of the horror stories that happened at that ride, because there were a few things that went wrong. What happens when that speed limiter doesn't work? What happens when a car overheats? I will reveal all in the next video.
Ooh.
And we'll be doing more in this series from the other 2 programs and Alyssa's program about what our jobs were like and what it was really like working at Walt Disney. So the next one will be in Epcot, and I will be telling you all about a ride that is very friendly to plants. So to find out what that's all about, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss it. Alright, we'll see you then.
Bye.